Hello. Over the next several videos, I'm going to introduce scroll events in JavaScript. And we're going to use this website to introduce features. So I'll cover having a count of the pixels traveled on the page. We'll have a progress bar. We'll have thresholds and wayfinding events that will change text and styling. And finally, we'll have a parallax effect. In this video, I'm going to focus on the difference between the document object and the window object, and then show you how to query the distance traveled in a scroll and use that to update an element. And then we'll build complexity from there. Okay, so here's our scene. So the first thing we're going to do, and you can download this from Canvas. The first thing we're going to do is just disable all the JavaScript one by one. So at the bottom of the HTML here, there's a series of script tags, and we're just going to turn these off. Then we're going to make a new script tag. And I'll call this one source equals demo.js. Then over here, we're going to add demo.js file. I'll bring this down here. So we'll have our HTML, our CSS, and then our demo.js, and we'll build everything in here. And then the first thing we'll do is a console, just to make sure that this is connected, .log. Hello. And then to look at this, I'm going to start my live server. Grab this URL, look at it in a browser. Great. We'll just do a little housekeeping here. And open the console. And there it is. There's our hello. Okay. So we've looked at the document so far, and the document refers to the website. If we go to the elements for a second, the visible part of our document is the body, and in this case, it's 617 by 16 pixels tall, and it refers to all 4 sections of our page. The window is this viewport here. So when I change this, I'm changing the size of the window, which is displayed up here. And we could have a window displaying something with no site at all, right? It's just this screen here. So with some events, we're going to be calling the document to select tags and style them. And in other events, like resizing the window and scrolling, we're going to be calling on the window. And so they're related, of course, but they're a little bit different. Okay, so to see this in action, we're going to look at both the document and the window. So the first thing is document.add event listener, and we're looking for scroll. I can't type for anything. Then comma, function, open parentheses, curly brackets, and then we'll open this up. And then just to get it going, console.log scroll. And here, when I scroll the site, you'll see that it calls the scroll many times as we go. So we added our listener to the document, but what we need is to measure the distance that we scrolled. And for that, we actually used the window. So we're going to say const pixels scrolled equals window dot scroll y. Boom. And then console dot log pixel scrolled. So now we can see as we move down the page, the number increases as we go. So what I want to do is take this number and display it in this element. So the first thing I need to do is find this element in our HTML. And it's in our header. And it has an ID of pixel count. We haven't actually used IDs at all. I've told you to avoid them. But now that we're using JavaScript, IDs are really handy. IDs are meant to signify a single element on the page. When we are doing things that involve both CSS and JavaScript, I'm still using classes, but this is a good use case for an ID. So I've added the ID of pixel count to this number over here. So to select that, we can do const pixels tag equals document dot query selector. And we're using an ID, so we use the £, pixel underscore count. Then we can go over here. So we'll comment this out for a second. And we'll say pixels tag dot inner HTML equals this number over here, pixels scrolled. And now we see this updating. So the last thing I want to do is there's a ton of decimals here. So I want to just turn this into an integer. And to do that, I'm going to cut this for a second. Cut. And I'm going to do Math.floor. And what Math.floor does is it rounds down to the nearest integer and then put my number in there. And there it is. All right.